Welcome to the Silhouettes of Success podcast with your host, successful entrepreneur, broker, and business mentor, Amber Weitzer. Because success comes in all shapes, sizes, and styles, the Silhouettes of Success podcast is shining the light on industrious women with a collection of curated conversations of intentional inspiration designed to inspire your heart, ignite your mind, feed your soul, and gift you with actionable insights directly from inspirational, everyday women who've shown tenacity, grit, and grace, having taken on the challenges in their lives and business and won. Remarkable, down-to-earth, and relatable, Amber and her guests will share with you uplifting and extraordinary real-life success stories, motivational ideas that just might help spark something within you. With the deepest desire to serve you, help you grow so you can begin to shine the light that will illuminate your very own silhouette of success. So, let's get to it.
Hello, and welcome to the Amber Weitzer podcast, Silhouettes of Success. Today, I'm overjoyed to talk with a principled and tenacious woman. She has a fiery and thoughtful silhouette. With her studious and robust experience, she embodies all of the qualities, skills, and talents to help provide you with credible advice, solid ideas, or pure inspiration to get you one step closer to your goals and dreams. So please help me welcome Kelli Hoffman, CPA, Managing Partner as McVeigh and Associates, passionate community volunteer. Hello, Kelli.
Hi, Amber.
How are you today?
I'm great.
Good. Well, Kelli, I'm very excited to visit with you today as you share your Silhouette of Success story with us. So once again, welcome. So Kelli, full disclosure to our listeners, we have known each other quite some time, and one of my dearest friends, of course. But with that, this is about you and sharing your story. And so to help illustrate your Silhouette of Success for our listeners, it's my understanding that you have a praiseworthy 30 years plus experience in your profession. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Sure. I'm a CPA licensed in the state of Texas. I have been a CPA for close to 35 years now. I didn't just happen into this profession. I loved helping people. And I was good at math. So we kind of married it. I didn't have a roadmap, which I think is a great thing to have. But as a young person, I'm from a small community, farming community. I didn't really have my future mapped out. But like I said, I was good at math. I was good at talking to people and helping people. And I kept just falling into opportunities. And if I had to say, you don't ignore those opportunities. Opportunities, even if you didn't plan for them, are very important to at least look at and contemplate. So if I can come from a very small town with a 4-year college degree and now a managing partner of a CPA firm, I think the sky's the limit in whatever one wants to do. I think you have to be passionate about it. That would be my main recommendation, to find something you're passionate about.
Well, you are so right on those opportunities. How do you embrace opportunities if they're maybe shrouded in challenge? How do you sometimes, how are you able to identify a true opportunity? I mean, how do you do that?
There are opportunities that all of us pass through life, sometimes not realizing it, and some do. My passion is trying to figure something out. So when I very competitive. So if you provide me with a problem or a challenge, I'm going to figure it out. I think that, like you had a good word, tenacity. I never thought about that myself, but I think I have a passion for not failing. Now, everybody fails at something sometime, but the challenge is to find the next challenge and to make that an even better success.
Yes, you are very tenacious, if I may, and competitive. Love it. But something you just said, and of course, like the listeners will be taking copious notes. But I just wrote something down that you said, and you said you have a passion for not failing. I don't know that I've ever heard anybody say that or like that, and that was poetic. That is just beautiful what you just said. And to be able to recognize that in yourself too.
Well, sometimes it's a curse. Little stubbornness goes in there. But I think in today's world, the sky's the limit, but you do have to be prepared to take the step. And if you have the courage to do that, you will have doors that open. You may have to knock a few times or go to the next door. But I guess I never had a situation that I felt like I was a total failure. There are many times that I was disappointed. Something didn't work out the way I wanted it. But if you give your all, you can't fault yourself for giving your all on a project or a goal, a job, and it not come out the way you want. Because at the end of the day, you won. You gave it your all. That's all anybody can do. It took me a long time to learn that lesson. I thought I had to be perfect and better than my colleagues. And you can run out of energy real quick doing that. But I think if you're giving it your all and you're passionate about what you're doing, you're going to find your slot. It may not be president of Apple, but it may be president of the PTA. But whatever you do passionately is where you're going to find your happiness. One thing I'll share in my early life, I did start, I'm a CPA. I was good in math. I was good in accounting in college. So the thought was I should go into public accounting, which is an international accounting firm. I started in Houston, Texas, one of the largest international CPA firms at the height of the oil and gas frenzy back in the early 80s, probably only 15% female, maybe. And it was very high performance and long hours. And that is really where I got a taste of the real world. Coming from a small town and going to a small college, not a huge college, but then going into a major city, major firm, you learn real quick. You sink or swim. And I think that was the best thing that could have happened to me because I wasn't one that played the politics. I just did my job to the best of my ability. I worked probably more hours than the others. And I was very client conscious. I was promoted as quick or quicker than my male colleagues. So I never felt like I was treated differently. But I will say your attitude and the way you present yourself in any position is going to matter in those situations. If you go into your job or a situation where you might not be the majority of the audience, your confidence and what you're there for and your persistence will outweigh any situation. It did for me.
I may have known some of that story from your journey, but definitely never really heard the full story or your experience. And that's almost lion-hearted of you to have experienced that and then to be able to put that, of course, into practice. And again, tenacious comes to my mind. And something you said earlier also stuck with me. If we could go back for a second, and you had said, talking about the lessons that you learned that you once thought that it had to be perfect and that it took you X number of years to learn that, or you do get worn out and it takes a while for some of us, me, maybe not, not you as long, but it took me a long time to figure out that there is danger in perfect. You get burnt out, and you mentioned that. So given the fact that you are very competitive and you're still in a high performance type of industry, how do you cope or tailor your business life to help yourself avoid any of that desire to maybe want to complete that challenge to a perfection, or so you don't burn out? How do you balance is the wrong word, because there's never balance. I don't care what anybody says. There's never the work-life balance. It just isn't. It's like you have said too, is you do your best and you have some passion, but how do you avoid that tease of perfection?
That's a good question. And in my profession, I'm in public accounting. We have deadlines almost every month. But as everyone knows, April 15th is a big one. And it's very easy to get wrapped up in a project or a deadline and forget where you're going. There's always going to be a deadline. And I think when you get in the middle of something and feel yourself drowning, which is very easy to do when you're tired, working long hours, this is what I've learned. And I learned it the hard way. When I was younger, I could work 18 hours a day. But stepping away from something when you are really getting bogged down and feel tired and frustrated and worried is the best thing to do. That for me, stepping away, leaving at time one day and going walking in the park. I mean, little things to get your mind out of the whirlwind, if you will. The deadline will be there the next day, but taking your mind away from it and giving it some time to regroup, I just cannot stress how important that is. It's so easy to just say, no, I'm just going to keep working these hours and getting this done. But at some point, you're not helping yourself if you're not taking some time to regroup. Even if it's an hour or two, stepping away. I remember 2 years ago, it was a really, really, really difficult day. And it was only noon, and I just felt like I was just in my wit's end. So I left and went shopping. And I bought the most outrageous leopard print outfit that I could find. And I came back an hour and a half later, and I had the rest of the afternoon just was very easy. And I would suggest everybody going on a leopard outfit, but just getting away and doing something fun that you want to do. If it's riding a bicycle, if you have a bicycle, air up the tire and ride around the block. That took a long time for me to learn. And not that I'm perfect at it, but it's your mind needs some breaks, and it will refresh.
That is a great story. I love that. I love that
outfit. I can show you sometime.
I think we would like that. That's awesome. And that's such great advice. Whether it's a quick mental break, whether it is doing exactly what you said, completely separate yourself, take a step back, recharge and energize, and then go back after it. And having those start and stop times with your goals to achieve those deadlines. That's amazing. So, Kelli, was there ever one specific point in time, whether it was an event or key situation in your personal or professional life, that really forced you to take a monumental shift within your business or career? If you can think of something, what was the result? And whether it was positive or painful, how did you grow from that shift or situation?
A couple of things during my career. Had a few stumbles, and I had to make some decisions that, again, hadn't pre-planned but knew were necessary, and really is why I ended up where I am. The first real challenge, I was probably late 20s. I had left the public accounting firm and went to work with a real estate development firm, a major firm in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. We were so busy. We were developing our own investment portfolios. We were doing the building. We were doing the lease out, everything. And then the real estate market tanked and there was no more building. And our company folded, or we closed it. And I found myself looking for something else. It was a real challenge. And I think today, with everything going on, there's probably a lot of people that are finding work challenges. And I think it does make you reassess yourself and determine what is it that I like doing. And if you can find your passionate goal, you should go after it. It may take a few jobs here or there, but if you keep your passionate goal in your head, you will get there. So I did. I found a company that I really loved working for, and I got to travel and most of the United States, and it was very rewarding. The second challenge that I had, I was a managing partner at a CPA firm before this one, and the partner was an investment banker. We had an investment arm of the company, and after a couple of years, I determined that our moral ethics were not in line with each other, and I did not want to be involved or associated with that company anymore. That is when I went out on my own, just doing some contract work, trying to figure out what am I going to do now. And I had this opportunity to come back to the firm I'm with now. And within 4 years, I became a partner and am now the managing partner. And it worked out. It was a really challenging time to make the decision to exit a very lucrative and highly visible position. However, if you're not comfortable and you're not happy with your position, your work, and your ethics have to line up with what you're doing, it's not worth it. At the end of the day, we spend most of our time, if you're working full time, most of your time away from home or with other colleagues. And if that's not a passionate part of your life, it's really sad to not have that fulfillment, because everybody has what they're passionate about. Everybody has, what's the word I'm trying to use? An attribute. And if you use that attribute, then in my opinion and in my experience, you will find something that you can enjoy and stay with.
Well, both amazing examples of overcoming. But the second one really is important too, because it is so difficult sometimes when you are feeling maybe out of line with the environment that you're in. And it really goes back to the strength to be able to make that decision and separate yourself from who you're associated with. And that is courage and strength, and it's filled with fear sometimes. But you're right. You spend so much time not only doing those things as a profession, but also associated with group XYZ or another partner. So kudos to you for having that strength to do that. And you're right, that led you down this path, and it's a beautiful place where you're at.
Well, I'm very happy and I love what I'm doing. And that's the most important thing, I believe. If you're going to spend working hours, to me, it's important to enjoy what you're doing.
Amen. Amen. You shared so much about why you're doing it. You've got a passion for it. Obviously, you're an amazing talent and skilled and educated. And I know education is so important to you, because I know how much time that I know you spend on the education component. So I can't imagine how much time you spend on it that I have no clue. And you're always such a solid resource for that. So with that said, too, do you have situations to where maybe you kind of hit a rut, or you feel that there's a time that you're maybe stuck and there seems to be a barrier between a goal and dream of yours? And if you can relate to that, how do you get over that hump? How do you help yourself get through that barrier?
I'm the type of person that wants to keep learning, which is good in my position because tax law keeps changing daily almost. And I do find if you just really start researching and putting your time in looking at things that you want to better yourself, it can be overwhelming. I mean, there's too much out there. And this kind of goes back to you've got not being perfect in everything you're doing. I would want to know everything about my profession, my tax, the rules and the regulations, but it is not humanly possible. It's not. And this goes back to an old saying, and my grandmother said this to me. You surround yourself with people that are smarter than you and that you appreciate and enjoy working with. Collectively as a team, I think in my situation, it gives me comfort that I can't know everything, but I can walk down the hall and find someone that knows something I don't. So to really answer your question, it's always a challenge to determine what I need to spend my time on education wise and training wise and management skill wise, because there is so much out there. You do need to just be happy that you can find time to do what you can and rely on other people that have like goals and that you can rely on for the things you don't really feel comfortable about. My grandmother was such a strong woman. Another thing that she told me time and time again, I would say, oh, I can't do that. I was not allowed to say can't.
Yeah.
I couldn't say that word in the house. And even though you can't be everything, you can be good at some things. And those are the things that will put you out in front of the competition.
I like that. Those sayings are timeless. That the advice is timeless. And sometimes it's easy to get caught up in the everyday or whatever situation or challenge we're in the midst of and forget just the common sense of it. You know, it's timeless, and we all need to be able to share that with each other more and more and support each other in that. You talk about being able to pivot and play off of or reach out to all of those around you. And especially, I know you're in a phenomenal environment where you are. But with that said, is there anyone that you maybe perhaps as far as a leader or mentor or coach, is there anybody that you follow, or do you have a favorite author or on the outside of the work environment or your sphere? Is there anybody else that really inspires you that
I don't have one specific person. What I do recognize are strong women and women that are making a difference in not so much in a political way, but in a meaningful way and in an honest way. I wouldn't say I have one person. I do recognize strong women and like to keep associated with them and be part of their roundtable and listen to their perspective. There's so many strong women. There's so many CFOs now that are running big companies, and I'm in awe of all of them. But I can't say I would pick one person. I think you look back at maybe the one person that pushed me. I would still keep going back to my grandmother. She was a very quiet woman, but very strong, and didn't believe that you couldn't do something you put your mind to. She, like I said, I couldn't say can't. You cannot use that word. You find a way around it.
Yeah, I don't think it would get any better than that. You know, wow, I love that. Well, Kelli, so let's dig a little deeper inside the silhouette and tell us what feeds your soul and how do you relax and unwind? Share a little bit about what helps you and what fulfills you.
My best relaxation is being by the water. I absolutely love the water, like to be in it, on it, around it. So at some point in my life, I probably will retire by the water. I
Good
think
for you.
I listen, if I'm having a hard time sleeping, I'll listen to the ocean. Everybody kind of has what makes them smile or makes them sit back and smile. Sometimes it might be gardening or flowers, but for me, it's being by the water. It's such a calming effect on me. And I try to go to the beach or somewhere at least once or twice a year. So I have something to look forward to when I have that planned.
Love that. Water and waves, very therapeutic. Very therapeutic. So, Kelli, as we go ahead and wrap this up, and it has been such a pleasure, my friend, talking with you today on this level, in keeping my promise to share intentional inspiration with our listeners. If you had one key go-to advice for them, what would that be?
Find something you're passionate about and go with it.
Love it. All right, Miss Kelli. So if you would like to share any of your socials or any of your contact information, so our listeners, whether they're local or around the globe, where can they contact you? Where can they find you to help support your continued success?
Sure. Well, I'm mostly at work. Unless I'm by the ocean.
Yeah.
I work at McIlvaine & Associates, CPA firm. It's in Southlake, Texas, the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And you can find us on the website, McIlvaine & Associates, MCILV as in Valentine, AIN.net.
Perfect. Excellent. Well, Kelli, thank you once again for sharing your time with us, your resilient and formidable silhouette of success. And it has been a pure pleasure. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Silhouettes of Success podcast. If you enjoyed the show, make sure you subscribe so you automatically get new episodes, and we'd love if you left us a review. We love to keep you in the ripple of support flowing and encourage you to pass on the light to help illuminate another's silhouette of success. So, please share this podcast on all your socials. Amber would love to hear from you, and you can find her on Facebook, LinkedIn, or head over to amberweitzer.com to reach out. To find out the latest ways to inspire your heart, ignite your mind, and gain actionable insights, subscribe at amberweitzer.com. The Silhouettes of Success is for those women who want to illuminate their success in life and business and pass it on to support others. We are honored and humbled that you've tuned in.